The Game That Wasn't Cricket by Evelyn Sharp. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ginny. Down the alley where I happen to live, playtime draws a sharp line between the sexes. It is not so noticeable during working hours, when girls and boys, banded together by the common grievance of compulsory education, trot off to school almost as allies, even hand in hand in those cases where protection is sought from the little girl by the little boy who raced her into the world and lost, or won, by half a length. But when school is over, sex antagonism, largely fostered by the parent, immediately sets in. Knowing the size of the average backyard in my neighborhood, I have plenty of sympathy for the mother who wishes to keep it clear of children. But I always want to know why, in order to secure this privacy, she gives the boy a piece of bread and dripping and a ball, while the girl is given a piece of bread and dripping and a baby. And I have not yet decided which of the two toys is the more destructive of my peace. Every evening during the summer, cricket is played just below my window in the hour preceding sunset. Cricket, as played in my alley, is less noisy than football, in which anything that comes handy as a substitute for the ball may be used, preferably an old jagged salmon tin. But cricket lasts longer, the nerves of the parents whose windows overlook the cricket ground being able to stand it better. As the best working hour of my day is destroyed equally by both, I have no feeling either way, except that the cricket, as showing a more masterly evasion of difficulties, appeals to me rather more. It is comparatively easy to achieve some resemblance to a game of football, even in a narrow strip of pavement bordered by houses, where you can place one goal in the porch of the model dwellings at the blind end of the alley, and the other goal among the motor traffic at the street end. But first-class cricket is more difficult of attainment when the field is so crowded as to make it hard to decide which player out of 3 or 4 has caught you out, while your only chance of not being run out first ball is to take the wicket with you. Always a possibility when the wicket is somebody's coat that has a way of getting mixed up with the batsman's feet. In spite of obstacles, however, the cricket goes on every evening before sunset, and all the while the little girl, who tripped to school on such a gay basis of equality with her brother only a few hours back, sits on the doorstep minding the baby. I do not say that she actively objects to this. I only know with acute certainty that the baby objects to it. And for a long time I felt that it would be at least interesting to see what would happen if the little girl were to stand up at the wicket for a change, while her brother dealt with the baby. And the other evening this did happen. A mother, making one of these sorties from the domestic stronghold that in my alley always have the effect of bringing a look of guilt into the faces of the innocent, shouted something I did not hear, picked up the wicket, cuffed somebody's head with it, and made him put it on, gave the baby to a brother, and sent his sister off to the oil shop with a jar in one hand and a penny tightly clasped in the other. The interruption over, the scattered field reformed automatically. Somebody else's jacket was made into a mound, and cricket was resumed with the loss of one player, who, by the way, showed an astonishing talent for minding the baby. Then the little girl came back from the oil shop. I know not what spirit of revolt entered suddenly her small, subdued soul. Perhaps the sight of a boy minding the baby suggested an upheaval of the universe that demanded her instant cooperation. Perhaps she had no distinct idea in her mind beyond a wish to rebel. Whatever her reasons, there she stood, hat in hand, waiting for the ball, while the baby crowed delightedly in the unusual embrace of a boy who, by all the laws of custom, was unsexing himself. Another instant, and the air was rent with sound and fury. In front of the wicket stood the spirit of revolt, with tumbled hair and defiant eyes, breathless with much running, intoxicated with success. Around her, an outraged cricket team, strong in the conventions of a lifetime, was protesting fiercely. What had happened was quite simple. Grasping in an instant of time the only possible way of eluding the crowd of fielders in the narrow space, the little impromptu batswoman had done the obvious thing and struck the ball against the wall high over their heads, whence it bounded into the open street and got lost in the traffic. Then she ran till she could run no more. Why wasn't it fair, she wanted to know. "'Cause it ain't, there," was one illuminating reply. "'Cause we don't never play that way," was another upon which she was quick to pounce. "You never thought of it, that's why," she retorted shrewdly. She was desperately outnumbered. It was magnificent, but it wasn't cricket. Moreover, her place was the doorstep, as she was speedily reminded when the door reopened and avenging motherhood once more swooped down upon the scene. A shake here, a push there, and the boy was back again at the wicket, while a weeping baby lay unheeded on the lap of a weeping spirit of revolt. And the queer thing is that the innovation made by the small batswoman in her one instant of wild rebellion has now been adopted by the team that plays cricket down my alley every evening before sunset. End of The Game That Wasn't Cricket by Evelyn Sharp.